Let's make Zuppa Toscana soup because it is one of those delicious, comforting soup recipes. Now, this is a copycat recipe. I first had this at Olive Garden, but this is a version that I make at home, and I'm really excited to make it today because I am not feeling my best. However, this soup is going to make me feel a lot better. Plus, it's super easy to make and it only takes one pot. Let's get started. Now let's go over the ingredients. We're gonna start with our protein, which is our main star, the Italian sausage. I love to use Italian sausage because it does add so much flavor without a ton of ingredients. But if you don't like to use pork or sausage, you can use ground chicken or whatever other protein you use. Just remember to season it with Italian seasoning for the best flavor. I'm also gonna use some bacon because I like bacon. We've also got some chicken broth or stock. I've actually got some better than bouillon that I mixed with water, which is more efficient for me today. Also got a little bit of regular water to tone down the seasoning. I've also got some produce that we're gonna add in this soup. Got some yellow onion, some garlic, which is a part of our generals, but we're also gonna add a russet potato and some kale because kale is delicious. Also, we're going to thicken it up and make it nice and creamy with some heavy cream. All right, so let's get started. Hey guys, YouTube is telling me that a couple of you aren't subscribed yet, and if you like this kind of content, I'm just gonna humbly ask that you hit that subscribe button so that you're notified whenever I post new content. Also, if you like this video and you really like soup, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Pretty please. Thank you. So before we start cooking this recipe, we are going to prep all our ingredients, which is known as mise en place, which basically means you just get everything cut and ready. So I'm going to cut my onion. Smells very oniony. And I'm going to dice this onion. This looks like more of a chop than a dice. It don't matter. Just, you want to make sure your onion is small enough so that it kind of melts into your soup. I'm still watering a little bit. I love this little oniony scooper thing after I chop my veggies, and I'm just gonna put these onions in a bowl to set them aside. Oh, I'm making a mess. Oh, you know, I think smelling the raw onions is gonna help me. I have like really bad allergies, and I feel like this, someone said onion juice is good, like if you're not feeling your best. But I don't know, I think I'm gonna be healed just by smelling this pungent onion. And I'm going to mince some garlic cloves. I'm gonna cut off those little edgy pieces, and then I'm gonna mince it. This ain't dangerous, but this isn't how I was taught to cut garlic in my knife skills class. You're supposed to cut garlic like an onion. Like, yeah, you're supposed to like put it up and cut it teenly like an onion, and I'm just gonna hack it and like chop it like this. Mainly because it makes me feel better. So the thing about garlic, my recipe calls for 4 cloves of garlic, but you can use how much garlic your heart enjoys. Now I always think it's funny because sometimes people say, you know, measure garlic with your heart, and I'm a firm believer of that. Plus, I think it's good. I think it'll help you feel better if you're not feeling your best. So, but I'm just gonna stick with 4 cloves today. And now I'm gonna cut my potato. So I'm also going to basically chop this. And if you don't like russet potatoes, you can use other kinds of potatoes. I like a russet. So I'm gonna basically chop this, but I'm not gonna chop it small. I'm gonna chop it like 1/2 inch cubes, just so that they have enough time to cook in the soup, but I don't want them to completely break down. All right, so I'm gonna put this to the side. This is like a little bit bigger than a 1 inch. Put it in my soup. Okay, I think I'm done. Oh no, I'm not done. I gotta cut the bacon. And last but not least, I'm going to prep the bacon, and I'm gonna cut them into about 1 inch pieces. It's easier for me to do this with chicken shears as opposed to a knife. So I'm just gonna go in there and just yap, like, woo! Super easy. So I'm just gonna cut these ahead of time before we start cooking. And like I said, this bacon is gonna be the last thing that I kind of prep before we start cooking. I do have some kale that I'm gonna add later, but it just doesn't get added earlier in the process. So I'm going to head over to the stove as soon as I cut this last piece of bacon. All right, let's get to cooking. So I've got my pot here that I'm gonna cook my Zuppa Toscana soup in, and I'm just gonna add some bacon. I've already started heating it over medium heat. I'm just gonna try to spread this bacon around a little bit. And we're gonna cook this bacon over medium heat for about 8 minutes until it gets nice and crispy. And it's gonna release that bacon fat. So our bacon has crisped up and is browning like I like it. So I'm gonna actually remove these pieces and set them on a paper towel to get rid of some of that excess grease. Bacon. And we're going to add this bacon to our soup at the end as a nice little topping. But our main purpose was pretty much to get some of that bacon grease to add some of that flavor. And I think Zuppa Toscana, one of the reasons why I love it is like, it's like, or any type of soup is like the best lesson you can get on really developing flavors in different steps, right? So here's step 1, getting our fat. And you can see in our pot, we've got a good bit of grease. I'm not gonna use all of that in this recipe, so I'm actually gonna drain a lot of this excess grease into my little bacon grease container. And then I'm going to leave a little bit in the pot for flavor. So I drained off the majority of that bacon grease, and now I'm gonna add my Italian sausage and start to saute it or brown it. Turn that heat up to medium high. So I'm going to brown this sausage until it's nice and crumbly. I'm gonna stab it until the sausage is completely browned and fully cooked and broken up. So our Italian sausage has browned quite nicely. It looks good and it smells good. And now I'm going to add my aromatics, my onions, and my garlic. Ooh, that was loud. Double wee. And I'm just gonna stir that in until the onions start to soften. It should take a few minutes. It's a big old onion block. So our onions have started to soften, and so now I'm going to add the other components like this potato. I'm adding my potato first so it doesn't splash all over me when I add my liquids. So I'm just gonna put those right in there. I did cut some of these pieces a little bit bigger. It's okay. Great. And now I'm gonna pour in my chicken broth stock, better than bouillon with water mixture. Oh, I try to avoid that. Oh, that's funny. And then some water. I'm just gonna stir that up. So I'm gonna crank my heat up a little bit over this so I can bring that liquid to a boil. And once it starts boiling, I am gonna reduce the heat and I'm going to cover it and allow it to simmer for about 25 to 30-ish minutes. The goal is to basically get those potatoes to be nice and soft. Wow, that looks good. All right, so as our soup simmers away and it's getting closer to the end of that 25 minutes, I'm gonna go ahead and prep our kale. And I've already got it rinsed. What I like to do, I don't like this piece. What I like to do is essentially just kind of cut down this spine. And I really wanna focus on these leaves. Now you could totally cut the stalk if you want to, cut it very finely and add it to the soup, but I'm not gonna do that. And I'll find something else to do with them stalks. I'm just gonna kind of gently cut it so it's not huge pieces. And this recipe calls for 2 cups of kale, and honestly, just eyeball it. Like, you could cut the kale up and actually measure it, but it's very forgiving. If you really like kale, just add some more. If you don't add it at all. If you want to add a different leafy green, I think spinach will do fine. Maybe some finely chopped collards would do fine as well. Look at what the soup is doing. Bada bing, bada boom. So our soup is simmering away, and I'm gonna basically just test it and turn that down. See how that potato just kind of broke? That means, yeah, it's about done. So I'm gonna add in my kale, and I'm just gonna let that cook for about 2 minutes till it starts to wilt. And I'm gonna add in my heavy cream as well. And give her a good stir. Oh my gosh, it's so bright and green and pretty. Wow, that looks good. So I just turned off the heat and my soup is done. Good old Zuppa Toscana. And I love making it home because I get to keep the pieces nice and chunky and very full bodied and thick. Oh my gosh. Okay, so before I serve it, I'm gonna do a few things. I'm gonna season it with some pepper. You know, they go, you want some freshly cracked black pepper? You can also add salt as well, but I like to add salt to my individual portion. I'm gonna stir that in. Oh, that looks so good. Zuppa Toscana. Hearty, hearty, hearty. My lunch. So do you remember that bacon that we reserved? We're gonna use that to top our Zuppa Toscana. If you didn't snack on it the whole time, because I've been snacking on this bacon, it's good. Voila! Now it's time to taste our soup. Just gonna get a little bit of kale, a little bit of liquid, a little bit of potato, a little bit of food. Ooh, let me get a little bite of bacon. Yeah. Wait, come on, bacon. This is delicious. It is full of flavor from that Italian sausage and that bacon, and it's healthy because I added kale and potatoes and stuff. Anyways, I'm off to eat my lunch. I hope you guys enjoy. Until the next one,